It all started on a Wednesday night. I didn't expect anything to change that evening. I'd been married to Emily for almost 7 years, and we had built a life together. I was 32, she was 30. We had 2 young kids, and Emily stayed at home while I worked a demanding job in sales. Our life wasn't perfect, but it was ours. There were moments of tension, like any relationship, but we always made it through. Or so I thought. That night, after a long day of work, I came home to find Emily sitting in the living room staring at her phone. She barely looked up as I entered, which was unusual. Normally, she'd greet me with a smile or a hug, but tonight, there was something off about her. I didn't say anything at first. I assumed maybe she was just tired from taking care of the kids all day. But as I set down my bag and kicked off my shoes, I noticed her phone buzzing. It buzzed again, then again. I could tell it was a text, but she wasn't checking it. I brushed it off. She'd always been a little secretive about her phone, but we never made a big deal out of it. We had an unspoken agreement. Our phones were open to each other, no big deal. But tonight it felt different. Maybe I was just being paranoid, but something felt wrong. I walked over to her, trying to make conversation. "How was your day, babe?" She gave me a quick smile, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Fine," she said, her voice sounding hollow. That's when I noticed it. Her phone, which had been buzzing nonstop, suddenly went silent. Emily quickly picked it up and slid it across the table toward her, almost as if she was hiding something. My heart skipped a beat. Why would she do that? She'd never been this guarded before. I didn't want to overthink it, but the feeling in my gut told me otherwise. Something wasn't right. Later that evening, when the kids were in bed, Emily suggested we watch a movie. I agreed, but my mind wasn't on the movie. It kept drifting back to the phone, to the way she'd reacted. I couldn't shake it. So, when she went to the bathroom, I grabbed her phone. I know it was wrong, but at that moment, I couldn't help myself. I unlocked the phone and checked her messages. At first, everything seemed normal. Texts between her and her friends, a few group chats. But then I saw a name I didn't recognize. Liam. My stomach twisted. I'd never heard of Liam before. I opened the conversation. The first few texts were casual, just small talk. But as I scrolled, the tone of the messages began to change. They were flirting, not innocent, playful flirting. This was different. It was explicit, graphic even. My mind raced. Was this real? Was she really talking to someone like this behind my back? I scrolled through more messages. They'd been talking for weeks. She had even sent him pictures. Nothing explicit, but enough to make my blood run cold. My hands shook as I read through their conversations. They had talked about meeting up. They planned to get together while I was at work when the kids were at school. I felt sick. I couldn't breathe. How long had this been going on? Was I really so blind that I didn't see the signs? I read the last few messages. Liam had invited her to meet up the next day. He said he couldn't wait to see her again, that he missed her. And she was excited. I froze. I didn't know what to do. Should I confront her now? Or wait? Part of me wanted to wake her up right then and demand the truth, but I knew that would only cause more pain. Instead, I decided to wait until morning. I needed time to process everything I had just discovered. When I finally did confront her the next day, Emily was shocked. I asked her who Liam was and she went pale. She tried to lie at first, saying it was just a friend from work, but I pushed her. I told her I knew everything, about the messages, about the plans, about everything. The look on her face shifted. She broke down. "I'm sorry," she whispered, her voice trembling. "I never meant for it to go this far. It was just a stupid thing that started with me feeling lonely. I didn't think it would matter." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Lonely. She had a family. She had me. We had our issues, sure, but I didn't think they were this bad. The thought of her texting another man, planning to meet him behind my back, made me feel like I was drowning. "I never wanted to hurt you," she continued, sobbing. "Liam. He made me feel wanted. something I didn't even realize I missed. It was just supposed to be harmless fun. But I couldn't shake the feeling that it was more than that. Fun? She'd been talking about meeting him in person. They'd planned to be intimate. This wasn't harmless. "You've been lying to me," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. "For how long?" She hesitated, then whispered, "A few months. Maybe longer." The betrayal stung. It felt like a punch to the gut. How could she do this? After everything we had been through together, this was what she had chosen to do. How long had she been hiding this side of herself from me? I left the house that afternoon. I couldn't stay there. I couldn't look at her. I needed time to think. I stayed with a friend for a few days, trying to wrap my head around everything. I kept thinking about all the little things I missed, the things that didn't add up. Had she been lying to me all along? Or was this something that just happened? When I came back, Emily begged me for forgiveness. She said she was willing to do whatever it took to fix things. But how could I trust her again? How could I look at her the same way? I wanted to believe her, but the images of her with Liam kept replaying in my head. The texts, the pictures, the plans, they were burned into my memory. We talked about going to therapy. She promised she would work on herself, that she wanted to rebuild our relationship. But the doubt remained. Could I ever forgive her? Could I ever feel the same way about her again? I tried to move past it. We tried to move forward. But every time she picked up her phone, every time she texted someone, I couldn't help but wonder, is she talking to Liam again? It's been a month since then. Things have gotten better, but the trust is gone. I don't know if it will ever come back. And every time Emily looks at me with those sad eyes asking for my forgiveness, I wonder if I can ever truly let go of the past. Thanks for listening to today's story. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and subscribe for more stories like this. Until next time, take care.